the new Relate episode. And we are super thrilled to welcome Anastasia Albert from B2B Practitioners. It's a pleasure. Anastasia,
Thank you so
please
much.
introduce
Thank you.
yourself. Yes, tell us what you do and what are you up to?
Sure. So I'm Anastasia. I'm the founder of B2B Practitioners. We're a growth advisory for B2B tech companies. Before that, I've been out and about in the startup world. Started actually in a full service agency, not in a startup at Scholz and Friends, and then quickly went into the Berlin ecosystem. Working for Milan Core Systems, which exited to major corporates. And then I joined Project A Ventures, which is an operational venture capital fund where I supported mainly B2B companies like Uberall, but also unicorns like Rue as a head of marketing. And then I was asked to lead the growth marketing team at Central, which I did. Central is an ERP system for smaller food companies supported by Sequoia. So I led the growth marketing team there. And now I'm a founder myself, so to speak, and working with a lot of founders as well.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for this summary. Such an impressive journey from Madman's creative agency world into the wild startup jungle and ultimately, running your own business. Are there any things, any patterns in common that you've seen over the years that you'd say, okay, this is what's happening in marketing. It's a common thread. It's a common struggle potentially, or would you say it's all very different?
I mean, there's essentially always the struggle to focus in the beginning, right? So start small when you're small and you want to you have a big vision as a founder, but you actually have to really start in a niche and try to win in one segment, get your first lighthouse customers. So I'm quoting Crossing the Chasm by Geoffrey Moore. If you haven't read it, please do. It's really recommended. So really starting in a niche, in an industry vertical even, trying to get the first lighthouse customer and then repeat the process. And because the cool thing that happens then is this puts you on a map in a small vertical, right? And this is where you can win. And then the other thing is obviously persona, ICP. You really need to understand the buyer decision process, and depending on that, create your go-to-market strategy, right? And I think the common thread is always let's just randomly do outbound and test everything, test enterprise and test SMEs and mid-market. But what you really should do is say, okay, we're going for enterprise only in this vertical. We're going to try and get the first customer, and then we're going to repeat the process. So yeah, that's maybe the common thread I'm seeing.
I agree with your opinion and experience. What would you say? How could content and content marketing help with that? So once you define the ICP and you go for this one niche vertical or this one niche persona in the B2B enterprise sales segment, or maybe SMB as well, what did you see? What was working? What was not? How should early stage founders prioritize?
As an early stage founder, it's a really difficult one, because usually you start with founder-led sales, right? So you start with referrals from your VCs, from your angel investors, to try and get that first customer or the first 10 customers, right? And you don't want to start spending on marketing or content for that matter too early, right? You're also not going to hire a head of marketing right away. You maybe have a medium to senior person that will support you with marketing in the beginning. So I think content is maybe in the form that we know, maybe a blog or white paper, this type of content is maybe not the first thing you would do. What you can do as a founder, obviously, is talk about your area of expertise on LinkedIn and share your thoughts on what the industry looks like. I think that's very fair to do if you have the time, or because you have to do it yourself. I don't think anyone can do it for you. Then I think that's fair enough to start already building an audience. But usually you would rather, if you start with marketing, you would rather go for the lower funnel and try and capture existing demands in the market, which is easiest done with search, so paid search for that matter, because organic search takes quite a while, and also we don't know how it's going to develop with Google's search generative experience and AI. So yeah, we don't know really. But I think you can, as a founder, definitely talk about your area of expertise and try to build an audience from the start. There are great examples out there that even started with just a blog, like Alexander Graf with Kassenzone, right? He was basically just building his audience, talking about e-commerce, and then later he founded Spriker, and then he already had the audience, right? So I think that's also a really cool example of how content can help you.
I think the question is how to bridge being a thought leader on LinkedIn or content creator on blog or newsletter and actually running a business. So doing founder-led sales, fundraising, hiring, financial planning, and you have to be a jack of all trades if you're an early stage founder.
True.
So I guess for us, and this is what we're exploring as well in this podcast, is how much time should an early stage founder invest in something like that? Because as you've said, so it can be a super valid way to get your first customers besides paid search. And how can you do it more efficiently? Because it's clear you cannot outsource it completely to an intern, especially if it's a highly technical B2B business.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, understand the buying process, right? If your customers are not on LinkedIn, you should
Don't waste your
waste your time, right? So LinkedIn in the enterprise world, but even in heavy mid-market, I don't know that would even work, because we did a lot of um, for example, road shows that were offline, right, to get customers. So you really need to understand if the buyer decision process is through search, is through LinkedIn. I think that's the most important one, right? And then in terms of the time put in, I haven't seen a lot of founders starting with content or trying to build thought leadership from the beginning, because most of the time you don't really have the time, right? You usually would start with sales, right? Because you're the founder, you have to essentially sell your product. So that's what you do through referrals from your VCs, from your angels, through your network. And that's the most important bit. And then you can support that if it makes sense from a go-to-market perspective with search. But then you also need to be sure that your tracking is set up, your website communicates the value very clearly. You know what your message is. I think that's also what a lot of founders struggle in the beginning is they start very early with marketing, and then they say, search didn't work for us, because either they didn't have the message right, they didn't have the landing pages, and they actually weren't ready yet with how to communicate the value, right? So I would always start with the sales first. And of course, you still need a marketer to support you with what are the messages, like what are the sales enablement materials that you want to use. So I think what a lot of founders also underestimate is the help that you can get from a person, from a marketing person early on, and not just bring this person once you decided, okay, you want to spend some budget.
Yeah, so that would be my next question. When you step into this early stage startup game, and so they have for sales, they probably fine tuned the ICP and most importantly their proposition and the offering. So how do B2B practitioners normally approach their assessment? What do you recommend? Is there a structure that you follow, framework, or is it very case by case driven?
Yeah, we usually do something called go-to-market diagnostics. So depending also a little bit on the stage of the company, we've been working rather with, let's say, Series A and later stage companies. So when we look at the go-to-market diagnostics, we have built a framework where you want to be at what stage. So in the explorer stage, which is basically a Series A, 1 to 10 million ARR, you want to reach predictability in order to then in the next stage to scale that, right? And then in the third stage to reach scale or repeatability. And in this go-to-market diagnostics, we basically go through a lot of different things, from the offering to ICP personas, all the way down to the different channels, and then go even deep in the channels and see how they're working, not working, are they efficient enough, is anything missing there. So that's basically our approach. If you don't have anything and you're just starting off with marketing, then obviously your ICP persona will be a little bit hypothesis driven, based on founder vision and founder led sales. So that's totally fine. You need to kind of create a basic foundation in terms of the website, in order to start with your first channel. And I would really focus on one channel first, not go too broad, and identify your one channel and really try to make it work. So test and learn quickly, and that would be my recommendation. Obviously, we also do setups, because once you start with a channel, you need tracking, right? You need a basic report to understand what you bring in. That's also something what we do, but so far we've been working with rather a bit later stage companies that have already channels set up, and then we rather go and see if they need to move their go-to-market from super crazy inbound to maybe partner or something else, product-led, you name it.
Yeah, makes sense. So keep it simple in the beginning, and if you go in at a later stage, assess all the channels, data, bring it all together, and decide if it makes sense, reevaluate, and maybe also strip it down, optimize, uh,
Mhm.
reshuffle the budget and the
Mhm.
priorities.
Mm.
We normally close this podcast with some visionary thoughts on the future of marketing. What would you say, maybe in particular, thinking about this later stage channel assessment and the tool stack that companies are using and marketeers, interim CMOs like yourself or people who are within the company? So thinking about the status quo and what could happen in the next few years, how do you envision your marketing tools to be and marketing to evolve in general?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I mean, the world is constantly changing, and I think that's makes it much harder for marketers. We really need to test new tools, but also think holistically, right? You need to understand product marketing, you need to understand go to market, you need to understand growth, different channels. So I think we definitely will see a lot of AI tools that will make us more efficient. Obviously, um, I guess in terms of the Martech or sales and Martech stack, it's going to be a lot more plug and play with APIs, a lot more modular, so you can stitch together different types of tools and they will work pretty easily together. Yeah, that's probably something I see. I mean, we already seeing that as an early stage company, you can start with basically your super simple CRM, and then you have maybe an easy reporting tool like Supermetrics or something, and then yeah, and that's about it, right? And then you can add tools on top of that once you grow, and then maybe once you're bigger you might change your CRM system if necessary. So um, essentially I think this will be the future, that you will have very easy plug and play tools that you can stitch together and get going right away. Send drip campaigns, send emails, and that's
The
about it.
team of autonomous AI agents that you would
Yeah,
orchestrate.
hopefully. Yes, I mean, I think we will be definitely very much more efficient in terms of that. So,
Yeah, the +1 on that. Thanks for sharing your experience and your marketing wisdom. It's very impressive, and we wish you all the best for B2B practitioners. And we look forward to staying in touch.
thank you.
Bye bye.